Nancy Pelosi had barely finished her sentence when the air in the room shifted. It was one of those moments where you could almost hear the audience lean forward, sensing that things were about to get messy. Sitting across from her was Senator John Kennedy, known for his sharp wit and unapologetic manner of speaking. Pelosi, with her trademark confidence, seemed ready to take a jab, perhaps underestimating just how quick Kennedy could be with his comebacks. The setting was tense but charged with the kind of energy political watchers live for. Cameras rolled, viewers tuned in, and what unfolded was the kind of exchange that lights up social media within minutes. It started when Pelosi, attempting to undermine Kennedy's remarks on government spending, leaned in with a smirk and said something laced with sarcasm. "Well, Senator, not everyone sees the world through your unique Louisiana lens." The delivery was deliberate, meant to be dismissive without crossing the line into open insult. The audience chuckled lightly, sensing a dig, but Kennedy's reaction was instant and devastating. He didn't flinch. He didn't pause. Instead, he smiled, that slow Southern smile that usually signals trouble for the person on the receiving end. "Madam Speaker," Kennedy began, his voice steady and laced with the kind of Southern politeness that almost always precedes a verbal knockout, "I'd rather see the world through a Louisiana lens than through a broken Washington microscope." The room erupted in laughter and applause. Pelosi's smirk wavered, but Kennedy wasn't finished. "You can mock my lens all you want, but at least it's focused on the people I work for, not the politics I work in." The subtle jab was as much about character as it was about policy, and it landed with surgical precision. Pelosi tried to recover, brushing it off with a wave of her hand, but Kennedy had successfully shifted the energy in the room. It was no longer about the point she was trying to make, it was about the fact that her attempt to ridicule him had backfired spectacularly. And Kennedy knew it. That's the thing about him. He doesn't just respond, he redirects the spotlight, leaving his opponent exposed. As the exchange continued, Pelosi tried to regain control by doubling down on her original argument. She spoke about fiscal responsibility and accused Kennedy of grandstanding rather than offering solutions. But Kennedy, armed with statistics and a knack for storytelling, countered each point with examples that resonated with everyday Americans. "You talk about responsibility," he said, "but your idea of responsibility is spending $1 you don't have and then borrowing $2 more to pay for it." Again, the audience roared. Pelosi attempted to steer the conversation back to policy details, but by now, Kennedy had the upper hand. Every time she made a point, he responded with a sharper, more relatable retort. It wasn't just about winning the argument, it was about connecting with the people watching. And Kennedy's folksy humor, paired with his directness, did exactly that. Social media was already buzzing. Clips of Kennedy's one-liners were flooding Twitter and YouTube. Comment sections filled with viewers praising his quick thinking and his refusal to be intimidated. "Classic Kennedy," one user wrote. "She walked right into that one," another said. Memes were already being made before the segment even ended. The thing about moments like this is that they often stick in the public consciousness longer than the policy discussions themselves. While Pelosi is a seasoned political figure, well-versed in high-pressure debates, this time she miscalculated her opponent. Kennedy thrives in unscripted exchanges, and mocking him only gives him an opening to do what he does best, flip the narrative and deliver a stinging counterpunch. By the time the moderator tried to move on to the next question, the dynamic between them had shifted entirely. Pelosi's attempt to control the conversation had been dismantled, and Kennedy was now dictating the pace. Every time the camera cut to Pelosi, her expression seemed tighter, more guarded. Kennedy, on the other hand, looked relaxed, almost amused, as if this was just another day at the office. Even after the show ended, the moment continued to dominate headlines. News outlets replayed the exchange, with some calling it a verbal takedown, and others framing it as a classic example of why underestimating John Kennedy is a mistake. Supporters of Kennedy hailed it as proof of his authenticity and wit, while critics of Pelosi argued that she had walked into the confrontation without a strong enough strategy to counter his style. The exchange also sparked conversations about the role of personality in politics. In an era where soundbites often carry more weight than long speeches, Kennedy's ability to deliver a memorable line was seen as a major advantage. For his base, this wasn't just about politics, it was about having a representative who could stand his ground and speak plainly, without the careful filters that often make politicians seem out of touch. Meanwhile, Pelosi's team tried to downplay the incident, focusing instead on her broader policy message. But in the age of instant media, the damage was already done. The clip of Kennedy's retort had been shared millions of times, overshadowing the rest of the discussion. In politics, perception is reality, and in this case, the perception was clear: Kennedy had turned a mockery into a moment of triumph. Looking back, it was a perfect storm of timing, tone, and personality. Pelosi's calculated jab might have landed against someone less quick on their feet, but with Kennedy, it was like throwing a match into dry grass. The spark caught instantly, and what followed was a blaze of Southern charm mixed with cutting logic that left little room for rebuttal. By the end of the day, Kennedy had cemented his place in yet another viral political moment, and Pelosi had inadvertently given him the platform to shine. It was a reminder to anyone stepping into a public exchange with him: underestimate John Kennedy at your own risk, because when he strikes back, it's not just an answer, it's an instant headline. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe for more updates on the most talked about moments in politics. Your support keeps this channel going and helps us bring you the stories you won't see anywhere else. And as always, stay tuned, because in the world of politics, the next big moment could be just one remark away.